Shalom, and welcome to my kitchen. I'm Eenie Frost, and delighted that you're with us today. We're going to prepare an orange chicken with raisin rice sauce today, and it is really something very delicious. And what we are going to make is a Fleischig dinner. Now that means that nothing that we will be cooking with today will have any milk products. We'll have a milk base, or we'll have any milk products. And these are laws of kashrut that come right from the Bible. You think there's only 10 commandments? There's 613 commandments. And probably in all of our lives, we will probably never read them or understand them all. But now you know 11, because one of the other 613 is, thou shalt not see the animal in its mother's milk. And that really is a foundation for kashrut, not mixing milk and meat. However, the philosophy of kashrut is much more. It really doesn't have to do with the particular preparing of food. It has more to do with a philosophy. We believe in Judaism, in piety, in praying, and how beautiful that here every time we eat, we stop and think about how grateful we are to God for the wonderful things that have been given to us and for the blessings that have been bestowed upon us. This is a beautiful moment, and this is a tradition that comes into the kitchen, because after all, we all spend a great deal of time in the kitchen cooking. I think we're all in there, and it's when you have the children with you and you're talking about it that you really tell about the morals and the ethics that you truly believe in. And we in Judaism have very beautiful ones. Even the 10 Commandments. You know, the children go to Sunday school and maybe they learn or memorize them by rote, but it's when you stand in the kitchen and you really talk about the 5 that have to do with man's feeling toward God. Thou shalt have no other God before me, and so on. And the others that have to do with man's attitude toward man. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not covet. Here we really bring these things into our life. And this is the beautiful things that we try to impart generation to generation to generation. But that's not getting our chicken going. The first thing we're going to do today is take 6 chicken breasts, which I have already started. I'll show them to you. In fact, I have a new gadget today that I would like to show you. I think it's absolutely sensational. Here it is. It's called my little oven pull. And with this, I'm going to pull the chicken out of the oven so that I don't burn my hands as I usually do. You just put this in very carefully and pull out the chicken. I'll put this on here. And then when you want to push it back, all you do is take your little oven pull and give it a little pull back. Now here we have 6 chicken breasts. And as you will notice, I have skinned them. Yes, take that cholesterol off. There is no need for you to use all of that cholesterol. It is unnecessary. Even if you were brought up eating chicken with the skin, you think that's the only way to eat it. Your children didn't grow up that way. And you have now come to the part of your life where you realize that that's really poison. And we're going to put something on our chicken that's going to make it taste so delicious that you're not going to miss it. And these chicken breasts are already boned. And that's really a fairly simple thing to do. You can have your butcher do it, or if you have some time, do it yourself. Potchkey around with it a little bit, and you'll see it's not so hard to do. Now, to give this a nice little taste, what should we put on it? Well, the first thing that I always think of when I think of chicken is Israel, because I think Israel is certainly the chicken capital of the world. You know, they don't have the places for grazing the cows and everything, but they have learned how to raise chickens without any need for this. And any place you go in Israel, you are going to have chicken cutlets and chicken this and chicken that. And what would they use? What kind of a fruit would they use most often? Naturally, oranges, because the wonderful Jaffa oranges that you find in Israel, well, the really wonderful ones, of course, are exported. But the others that are kept in the country for their own use are also delicious. So in this pan, I have melted 1/4 of a cup of margarine and 1/2 cup of orange juice. And to it, I'm going to add the secret ingredient. Because you see, we're talking about a people. We're talking about a country that has come into being with people from all over the world. Yes, in the beginning, the Eastern Europeans who came to Israel brought with them the chicken in the pot and the chicken with potatoes. But then came along another entirely new wave of people from Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Iran, Iraq. And they didn't know from potatoes. They knew from rice. And the one thing that they always use is a little ginger. So we're going to add a little 1/2 teaspoon of ginger to this sauce. And you'll see it gives it that wonderful flavoring. You know ginger ale? Well, there you are. And if you're really ambitious, get yourself a piece of real ginger and just shred it in. Now we'll add this orange juice mixture to our chicken, pour 1/2 of it over the chicken, and then put it back in the oven to cook a little bit longer while we get our raisin rice ready. Now here's simple it is. I just take my little oven pull, and I know I'm not going to burn my fingers this time, because that's my usual trick. And put it right back into the oven for a moment. Now to make our raisin rice, I have already prepared a cup of rice. 1 cup of rice will make 3 cups of cooked rice. I have prepared 1 cup of raw rice, and instead of using 2 cups of water, I used 1 cup of orange juice and 1 cup of water. And I also added a little ginger. And now I'm going to take this wonderful rice, because you can see it even has some of an orange flavor to it and an orange color. Oh, I wish we had smell-o-vision. You can smell it. Tastes just like walking down an orchard in Israel and smelling those wonderful orange trees, because that's the flavor that you always get over there. And then this is going to be an easy dinner, maybe a Shabbat dinner. So it's nice to prepare the chicken and the rice together so that you have your entree and your starch in the same dish. And if you use a dish that can go in the oven, to freezer, to refrigerator, how much easier it makes the whole cooking. Let's say we were making this for a Shabbat dinner. So we would have this ready in the afternoon and just put it together a few minutes before. So we'll take out our chicken. Oh, it looks very nice now. You can see how juicy it looks when you do that. Look at how nice and juicy it is already. If you let it stay in about 30 minutes, you'll see it will really get a nice crispy flavoring to it and have almost a glaze on top of it. And then add your rice to the side and put it back in the oven for about 30 minutes. And you'll see that it will really have a very nice feeling. I'm going to show you one that I have already made, because I think that then you can understand what a nice feeling this gives. Here we have, this pan is just about the right size for about 6 chicken breasts. Or if you're just having 4, that's fine too. Now I'll show you one that is already prepared. And we can set this one right back in. And here's one that's already made. Now, look and see what I added to this. I call this orange glazed chicken with raisin rice. And although you might think, well, the raisins are optional, you know what? They aren't optional. They're necessary. Because raisins give everybody a wonderful feeling. Did you ever just think about raisins? It makes you smile. Did you hear the song that they played in the beginning of this show and the song they play at the end? It's called Rosenkiss and Mandlin. What does that mean? It means raisins and almonds. It's a lullaby that a mother is singing to her little boy and wishing that his life is going to be beautiful and filled with sweet things like raisins and almonds. And this has always been a beautiful feeling. So whenever I make anything, I always think about these lovely things and want our children to grow up and have these nice feelings. So onto the top of our orange glazed raisin rice, we're going to add a half a cup of raisins. And you can use either ones. I use the yellow ones. I think they're really very nice. And then on top of it, we'll sprinkle a half a cup of slivered almonds and just put them right on top. Now, if you put this back in your oven a little bit before you serve it, then keep a little orange juice on the side that you can pour over the top in case it begins to dry out a little bit. Otherwise, if you serve it immediately, there is no problem. This is a very nice dish to serve, and you can make it in advance, and you can have it all ready because you see that by making the rice with your orange juice, it keeps it a little more juicy and it keeps it a little more aerated than it would ordinarily be. So this is our orange glazed chicken with the raisin rice. And I'll put it back in the oven so it'll stay nice and warm. Now, the next thing we're going to make is a vegetable. And you know me on vegetables. It always has to be something that's sweet because this represents the optimism of our people. Our people who always feel, who has suffered as many holocausts, as many upsetments, as many tragedies as our people, yet who has always come back and has lasted all of these thousands of years because of the great optimism of our people, that no matter what happened before, there's always going to be a good, happy, and wonderful future. And if this is Shabbat, whatever happened last week is over. Starting from this moment on, it's going to be happy and good. And so we're going to make a very sweet and nice vegetable. We're going to make a vegetable that I call cranberry sauced carrots. And this is a sensational thing. You know, if you're having a big party or a dinner dance or a luncheon for your organization and you want to make this in advance, it's absolutely super. And if you're just having a dinner party for your friends, they'll never believe it was so easy, because here's what you do. Now, I have melted a half a cup of margarine. Or if it's a milk dinner, then you could use butter if you want to, but I think that margarine really does the trick very nicely. And here we have the things that we're going to use in our carrots. First, I'm going to add to it 8 ounces of cranberry sauce and mix this in with it, all right? And you'll see that the cranberry sauce, use the jelly. I think it's a little better, although I always like to make my own cranberry sauce. You know how I am about fresh is best. In this one case, I will go along with the fact that it really is better to use the canned jellied cranberry sauce because it melts right into the margarine. Now add to that 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar. And the brown sugar, when you measure brown sugar, always remember that any measurement that's given to you means it is to be fully packed, because brown sugar comes in very, well, it's hard to pour into your cup, right? But force it in. It means fully packed all the time. Oh, and if you have problems with your brown sugar, if it is getting hard or something, put it in your bread box. It'll stay nice and fresh, so it'll be easy to work with. Then we're going to add a little cornstarch. Here I have 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and I'm going to blend it with 4 tablespoons of water. And just add this right into the sauce. And you'll see that it'll give it just enough thickness, not too much because you don't want this to be too thick of a sauce, but you want it to have a feeling that it's really going to hold together. Now cook this sauce for about 20 minutes. And I have already done that to show you what it looks like when it's done. If you take this sauce and add, I love these carrots. Have you ever tried the Belgian carrots? When we used to have our vegetable garden and the carrots didn't grow very well and we'd take them out, I'd say, uh-oh, Belgian carrots. But they really are very sweet and they're very small. Otherwise, just take a pound of fresh carrots, slice them up, put them in a pan over the water or in your microwave on high for about 3 or 4 minutes until tender crisp. Please do not overcook your vegetables. The old story about cook until done, please forget that. Let's have our vegetables nice and tender crisp. And here we have our carrots that are all done. Here they are all finished and they are really delicious. Now if you take a look at the carrots, I think you can see the size of them. Here they are, and we're going to add to them 1 can, or I really tried to get fresh green grapes. I really did, and I love the fresh green grapes if they're seedless. But if the grapes still have seeds in them at this time of the year, it's kind of difficult to use them in something like this. So it's better if you use seedless grapes. And although I'm sorry I had to do it, I had to use the can this time. But they give it a very nice flavor. So add 1 can or about a half a cup of fresh green grapes. Blend it through, and you can prepare this a great deal in advance and have it ready. In fact, it really should be made at least 1 or 2 days ahead of time so that the flavors have an opportunity to meet each other. Can you see the redness? Can you see the cranberry look to it? They really will look beautiful. When you put it on a table, sometimes chicken looks a little bland. So it's doubly important that you have something on the table that has a good color. And here you have this pretty orange and green color that I think will really look very nice when you put it on the table. And especially when we were in Israel, every day it was the vegetables, and you go out and pick them and you bring them home and prepare them. Well, do it here too, and use your fresh vegetables. You'll see if you go to the market, I think today even the market has realized that the people want more fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. I think we're coming to this part of our lives where we realize that this is important. And the whole thing is that it's possible. With the refrigeration and the frozen type of things that are being done today, it is possible that we can have fresh vegetables and fruits all year round. And it really is a wonderful thing to have. Well, let's say that we had this for a Shabbat dinner. If we had this at a Shabbat dinner and we finished the dinner and we go to shul, to the synagogue, and we come back, and we're sitting around the table and just kind of talking, we're looking for a little nash. You know what a nash is? This is a great word, and you've got to use it. Once I tell it to you, I'm sure you're going to use it all the time. Because a nash, which we spell N-O-S-H, is like the commercial says, when you want to eat something, but you really don't know what you want to eat. You're just kind of sitting around and you'd like something that would be kind of fun. And here we have come back from the synagogue and we're sitting around maybe with our friends and our family and maybe get into a little discussion about what the service was about or what the sermon was about tonight. Did we really understand it? What was he trying to say? This is the time to bring out a little mash. So we are going to make something that I think is lots of fun. We are going to make some caramel corn. Now, the first thing to make in caramel corn is you have to pop some corn. So the first thing we're going to have to do is take 6 quarts of plain popcorn. And here I have 6 quarts of plain popcorn. And if you don't want to pop it yourself, You can buy it, but it's really fun to make it yourself. Even if you have a microwave or you have those new hot air poppers. Here we have 6 quarts of popped popcorn. Now we're going to make our caramel sauce to make our nice caramel corn. The first thing that we want to do, and I had to start it in here because I wanted to show you how this really develops. Here we have a 1/2 pound of margarine blended with 2 cups of brown sugar and a 1/2 cup of light corn syrup. You know, there's light syrup and there's dark syrup, and they're used for different things. This one is light corn syrup. We put it on the stove and cook it about 20 minutes until it really gets going, and you'll see that it's starting to boil and really getting hot and start to come up. When it starts to boil and starts to come up really good, because you see this is going to aerate it so that it'll mix through with the popcorn and give it a really wonderful caramel flavor. We're going to, here it is starting to boil. We're going to add to it a teaspoon of salt and a little cream of tartar. Cream of tartar is a wonderful thing to use. You know, you use it in egg whites. Well, you're using it for the same reason here. So let's take a little cream of tartar. Oh, you've got to keep stirring this. Always watch it. When you're making caramel corn, don't get involved on the telephone. Let me tell you this. It's all right when you're finished, but as long as you're cooking it, you've really got to stay with it. Because here we're putting in the cream of tartar and the other secret ingredient, because I've tasted this at other places, but it hasn't been right. Because I'll tell you what you have to put in it is baking soda. That might sound strange, but that's exactly what is necessary. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And now you can see already how this is all beginning to develop. And now we're going to take this wonderful mixture, and I only wish you were here to smell it. Ooh, it smells good. It smells like caramel corn already. When it starts to get that smell, then you know the caramel corn idea is coming along. Then we take our 6 quarts of popcorn that are right here, and we're going to put this all together. Oh my goodness, you see how this is coming up? Right away, that's the cream of tartar and the baking soda. Look at what it did to it. And that's what you want. That's the excitement with the whole caramel corn story. Otherwise, it just stays flat. You want it to stay nice and, oh my goodness. I'm afraid this is all going to boil over here in a minute. You see how nice and high this got? All right, now pour this carefully over your popcorn. And now blend it through very nicely. I have 2 spoons here. I have a fork and a spoon. And this should work very well, because you want to be sure that it's going to get into all of the popcorn. And of course, you know, if you want to mash it a little bit while you're making it, well, there's nothing wrong with that either. But this really makes a delicious caramel corn. And be sure you get it all the way through, all of the corn, because you want them to really be individual corns when you get this all put together. But you might wonder, well, how are you going to eat it just like this? It's going to be too sticky. You're right, it is going to be too sticky. So what you're going to have to do with this now is take this whole mixture and put it in a low oven. I'm sure you have never used 200 on your oven, but use it today, because this is how you're going to make your caramel corn hold. And here we go. We're going to put this in here and mix it through very, very well so that all of your popcorn gets into this wonderful caramel flavor. Now we'll take it. Oh, I missed a few. Well, all right. We'll put them in, and now turn your oven down to 200 and put this right in the oven on a 200 oven for 1 hour. And you will see how absolutely delicious this will be. If you would like any of the recipes that we have cooked today, please send a self-addressed envelope to WJUF, 1 South Franklin Boulevard, Chicago, Illinois, 60606. And by the way, if you like my new oven pole, just write to me at the same address and ask for one. They're $2.50 plus 50 cents postage. I'll be happy to send it to you. So here we have our wonderful Shabbat dinner, and look at how easy it was. We have our chicken and rice all made together, and I'll take it out so that you can see how nice it is now that it's had an opportunity to set in the oven for a little bit. And if you're hesitant at all, that you think it might need a little more juice, never hesitate adding a little orange juice or a little orange juice mixed with a little ginger, because it really gives it a wonderful flavor. And we'll have to put our caramel corn in there for a while. And here are our grapes. Look at how nice they look. The grapes even started to get bigger, didn't they? You see what happens to them? They really start to get bigger. And we'll pour it into our nice serving dish here. And we have our cranberry carrots. I think they really look wonderful. I think you will enjoy them all the way. Here are our lovely carrots. And then, of course, when we come back from synagogue, we're going to sit down while the kids come over for a treat. There's nothing like bringing out this wonderful bowl of caramel corn, and I know that you'll all have a good time. You want me to take a nosh to see how it is? Well, I think they're really delicious. And if you want to keep these and give them as gifts, then just take it, put it in a tin, and put them away. They'll last for a long, long time, or give them as a gift. They're wonderful to have, and it really makes for a very nice dinner. Now, if you wanted to round out your Shabbat dinner, you could make chicken soup if you were really getting ambitious about it. And that's really not so complicated today. We used to think it was so hard. Today, it's not so complicated. And if you want a good recipe, you look in any of your books or ask your mother, ask your grandmother. You know how thrilled they would be and how delighted they would be. I know oftentimes when I've done demonstrations in grocery stores, and I see the girls come through maybe with the children in the buggy or something, and they stop and look and say, oh, my grandmother used to make chicken. I wonder how she made that chicken soup. And I'll say, go home and ask her. Call her up and ask her. And I'll get a telephone call not too long afterwards. And you don't know how delighted they were that you called them up and you asked them that you wanted to bring tradition into your kitchen, because this is what it's all about. It's bringing the morals and the feelings and the attitudes that we all believe in and we want to be right into our kitchen. And it's very simple to do, because look at how easily I did it. So we hope that all of you will take the time to make a little dinner at home and invite the family over and have with you an orange glazed chicken with a wonderful raisin rice. Look at how nice it looks. And with the Rosenkiss mit Mandeln. And this, you can always sing the song and tell them about it. And then you make your wonderful carrots with the grapes, or if you have fresh grapes, that's better yet. And then make a great big pot of caramel corn. And I know you will enjoy it. And please see us next time on Enie's Kitchen. Shalom.
Straight or close.